Hey everybody, welcome to the Blue Collar Bear Gourmet. I'm Chris. This is my channel. What I like to do on this channel is drink craft beers, review craft beers, and I don't like to pay a whole lot of money to do it, so the beers that I review on this channel usually come in around the $2 range. And I'm sorry for not sounding great or looking great. I am sort of recuperating from having had a cold that's kept me down for the past 4 days, and anyway, so I'm still not 100%, but I figured I needed to get back to work. So today's selection is cost me $1.99 for a 12-ounce can. It's the Belgian style white ale. This is the white label from Wasatch Brewing. Uh, Ale brewed with coriander, orange peel, and grains of paradise. And let's see if there's anything more about. Okay, like the snowy egret, white label is thoroughly unique and both migrate back to Utah in the summer. The zest of orange soars with the flavor of coriander to create a beer that is perfectly balanced and refreshing. You'll be glad the seasonal beer has come home to roost. This particular beer is about 3.5 months until its enjoy by date, so it's plenty fresh. Has a 6% ABV with wit beers usually coming in between 4.5 and 5.5. Do not have an IBU on this. Even Untapped didn't have an IBU, and Untapped is known for having IBUs even when the brewer doesn't have it on their own website. Little quick information about the wit beer. It's a style um, that comes from the as far back as the 1400s. I'm sorry, further back than that, from the 700s. It's actually a 1200-year-old variety, which died out in the 1950s. It was revived by Pierre Celis at Hoegaarden. It's made with barley malt and unmalted wheat, coriander, orange peel. In the north of Charlemagne's Holy Roman Empire, there was a shared history of Dutch Flemish white beers, Bavarian Weizen, and Lambics. So that's why sometimes this is known as a Weizen glass and sometimes it's known as a Witt glass. Um, and Witt is the German word for white, but it is also the German word for wheat, depending upon whether you're talking High German or Low German, as I understand it. Don't hold me to that. That may be incorrect, but that is my understanding based upon what I read. So, anyway, there you have it. Wasatch are great. They're great brewers. I like these guys a lot. I met them once at a tasting, and they're really interesting guys. They're the kind of guys who really like to just piss off the LDS Church, quite frankly. They seem to get a real kick out of it. All right, so I'm gonna pour this, and that is pouring a very golden. You're actually seeing the color of the beer, which unfortunately is not often the case. Uh, Usually the camera makes it a little bit darker, but that's pretty close to the color. It's not quite as light as you're seeing it, but that's because of the shadows. Otherwise, this is in fact the color. I'm sorry, I keep hearing some bird that's like way too close. But there you have it, lots and lots of carbonation. I'm going to describe that as high carbonation. That head is bursting rather quickly, so I'm going to describe that as a rather flimsy head. Let's do a quick beard wipe so we come across. I smell orange, that's for sure. I'm going to stick my schnoz in, see what else I can come up with. Smell the clove, smell the orange, or I guess it's not clove, it's coriander, but it's sort of a clovey smell. Boy, what I smell more than anything is the orange. I'm thinking I smell the grains of paradise too, but I gotta be honest with you, I don't know what a grain of paradise smells like. Lots of spice in the profile and lots of orange. That's really what I'm smelling more than anything. And I am getting a little bit of the maltiness too, though. It's not to say that it's there, it's just in the back end. So I'm going to quit yapping my flap and get to drinking. Cheers. Okay, that's not bad. I am going to preface this by saying that wit beer is not one of my favorite varieties. In fact, very rarely do I like it. But this one, I'm going to describe it as a low mouthfeel, not a whole lot of spikiness to it, no alcohol burn. It's kind of refreshing, which I don't normally find wit beers to be. Oftentimes I find them a little on the dry side. Can definitely taste the coriander, that's for sure. You're tasting the profile, the spice profile more than anything, and then there is some maltiness. I gotta be honest with you, the orange peel is not really coming through much on the tongue. And that's okay because oftentimes the orange is kind of what skews a wit beer for me. But this I like. Definitely high. I mean, like I said, you can just taste the spice profile. The spices are coming through. Coriander was the first one. The grains of paradise, I'm assuming, have to be what else I'm smelling and tasting. If you like wit beers, I think this is going to be a fun. If you like your wit beers with some citrus to it, I would say honestly, grab yourself an orange wedge or a lemon wedge, depending upon how you like to spice up your wit beer. But no, this is pretty good beer, and considering I think I'm going to go ahead and give this a 4.25. I think it's deserving of the 4.0. Gets the extra 0.25 because it's in a can. It's not often that I give high marks to a wit beer, but this one is actually pretty good. And what's more, I think oftentimes, like if I find an example of a variety of first day with this new mouth, sorry. If I find an example of a variety of which I'm not that particularly fond, and I find that this particular example is really good, usually that means that it's not a good example of the variety. Because you see what I'm saying? If this normally, if this was a good wit, if this was a typical wit beer, I wouldn't have any use for it. But a wit beer that doesn't isn't typical, I usually do well. You know what? I'm not making any sense, and I'm really sorry. And this is a really bad review, and I apologize. And if I had another can of this, I'd crack it open and do it again. But I'm gonna actually quit. Maybe I'm not feeling as well as I thought I was because I'm just not making a hell of a lot of sense, and I'm wasting a lot of your time, and I apologize for that. Suffice to say that this does have a good, it does have a good spice profile. It does have a little bit of citrus back there, but the malt is actually more prominent on the back end than the citrus is, and it is a good beer. I think people who like wit beers are going to like this beer, but it's difficult to say. And I promise you that the next review is going to be a lot better than this one, guys. I'm really sorry about this. I just feel like a dolt for just rambling. So anyway, until next time, enjoy good beer. Don't break the bank doing it. Cheers.